We are 1 month into the Shared Skies season in Pokemon Go, and you might be wondering what are the best Pokemon to build for PvP? This video will focus on the top 10 Pokemon that you should try and get your hands on if you want to compete in the Great League format or the Play Pokemon circuit. Remember that local tournaments for the 2025 Play Pokemon season start now, this July, from which you can potentially earn championship points, exclusive trading card game packs, and cash prizes. So let's get into our top 10. Taking 10th spot is Quagsire, a water ground type Pokemon that had a community day last November in which it received access to the low energy water type charged attack Aqua Tail. Running a preferred moveset of Mudshot, Aqua Tail and Stone Edge, Quagsire has access to ground, water and rock type damage, which gives it a unique coverage position when compared against other Mud Boys in the Great League meta. I ran Quagsire at the Bologna special event in June of this year, in which I came second, and Quagsire played a key part to that success.
Yeah, I agree. Here we go, Quagsire into Altaria, a terrific lead for Colin here. And Tomahawk UK did bring that Bastiodon again, but Colin is a little bit more prepared in the back now. I actually take that back because he got the Cresselia again, but this time he brought the Whiscash instead of that. I believe he had the Max Zone the other time. Let's see, Stone Edge is coming through. Is Colin going to play for what? He's letting that go. He puts the Altaria into the red.
Following last month's nerf to Scald, Quagsire has arguably overtaken Whiscash as the most popular and the most powerful water ground type Pokemon in the Great League. Coming in 9th, we have a fan favourite in Feraligatr, which recently received access to the powerful ghost type jack Shadow Claw. And since then, Feraligatr has been a force to be reckoned with. Not only have we seen it have a huge amount of play in the Great League, it also featured on Out of Pocket's North American International Championships winning team. Coming in both a Shadow variant and a non-Shadow variant, Feraligatr is definitely a Pokemon that you want to have in your roster. In 8th place, we have a Pokemon that doesn't really feature anywhere else in competitive Pokemon other than Pokemon Go, and that is the electric bug type Pokemon Charjabug. In the last year, Charjabug received access to the heavy damage fast attack Volt Switch, as well as a damage buff to its cheapest charged attack, X-Scissor. With electric bug typing, Charjabug is one of very few Pokemon that not only resists fighting type damage, but can also deal super effective damage to flying types. Charjabug was the only Pokemon to feature on all 8 teams of the top 8 at the North American International Championships this year, and I have no doubt we will see plenty of Charjabug at the World Championships this August in Hawaii. One Pokemon that doesn't want to see Charjabug is our 7th place pick, and that is Skarmory. Skarmory has a high stat product and is a steel flying type Pokemon. Skarmory has one of the best defensive typings in the game, and it's no surprise that it is the most popular steel type Pokemon in the current Great League format. This year, Skarmory received a buff to its fast attack, Steel Wing, which allows Skarmory to deal so much more fast attack damage than it ever could before. Skarmory also has access to the flying type charged attack, Brave Bird, which is one of the most efficient attacks in the game, and this combination has taken Skarmory right to the top of the meta. One of Skarmory's biggest wins is against our 6th place Pokemon, and that is the legendary Psychic type, Cresselia. Cresselia has an insane stat product, as well as access to one of the fastest charging fast attacks in the game, Psycho Cut. Cresselia runs Grass Knot and has the option of either Moonblast or Future Sight as its 3rd attack, with Moonblast being the preferred option. Cresselia is one of very few Pokemon in the Great League meta that not only resists fighting type damage, but is also able to deal super effective damage to fighting types. It can hit Quagsire for double super effective with Grass Knot, and it can hit dragons with Moonblast. This gives Cresselia a unique position in the meta and makes it very much one of the staples in the game. And that takes us into our top 5 Pokemon for the Great League and Play Pokemon formats in the Shared Skies season. In 5th place is none other than Lanturn. Lanturn recently received a nerf to its electric type fast attack, Spark, but that has not dissuaded players from using Lanturn in the Great League. Most Lanturn that you will see will now run the water type fast attack, Water Gun. However, some players are still opting for Spark just because of its core breaking potential that no other Pokemon can offer. Lanturn is one of the only water and electric type Pokemon in the game, which not only means that it is a water type that can beat other water types such as Azumarill and Mantine, but it is also one of the only Pokemon in the current format that resists all of Skarmory's attacks, and that is a key part of why Lanturn is not going anywhere anytime soon. But if you think Lanturn's typing is good, check out our 4th place pick, and that is the water and fairy type Pokemon, Azumarill. Azumarill has incredible defensive typing, as well as an insane stat product to match. It is one of the most popular Pokemon in PvP, and it has been a staple for many years, and it generally runs Ice Beam and Play Rough, but also has access to the very powerful water-type charged attack, Hydro Pump. I have no doubt that Azumarill will top cut Worlds in Honolulu, Hawaii, but will it go all the way? We can only find out. In 3rd place, we have Lickitung. Now, Azumarill and Lickitung are the only XL Pokemon on this list, and whilst you can opt for non-XL versions, I would suggest going for the extra bulk, as it will allow these Pokemon to outbulk and outclass much of the rest of the meta. Lickitung has access to the Ghost-type fast attack, Lick, as well as the very spammy and very efficient charge attack, Body Slam. Paired with its grass-type coverage option of Power Whip, Lickitung is able to do damage to almost all of the Pokemon in the Great League. It has incredible bulk, and this makes Lickitung one of the most popular and one of the best safe swaps in the game. Speaking of safe swaps, let's take a look at number 2 on the list, and that is Gligar. Gligar is a ground and flying type Pokemon, of which there are not very many in the Great League. Gligar has access to the very spammy flying type charged attack Aerial Ace, as well as the harder hitting ground type charged attack Dig. This gives it coverage against both fighting type Pokemon as well as steel type Pokemon, and that combination is not particularly common amongst much of the Great League meta. Gligar is the only flying type Pokemon in the Great League meta that resists electric type damage, and this gives it a niche role when team building both for the Go Battle League as well as play Pokemon. Gligar is most popularly seen in the Shadow form, and that is because it hits very fast already, and so adding the extra damage makes Gligar a really potent safe swap. If you don't have access to a Shadow Gligar, you can still use the normal variant. It doesn't hit quite as hard, but it does have extra bulk, which means it can pick up some wins that Shadow Gligar would otherwise lose. And that leaves us with one Pokemon left. And I don't think it's any surprise that our top pick for the Great League and play Pokemon formats is Annihilape. Annihilape was introduced during the season and very quickly rose to the top of the Great League usage for played Pokemon. I used Annihilape at Liverpool earlier this year, in which I came second, which does seem to be a running theme.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
But Annihilape has been a brilliant fighting and ghost type Pokemon that so many players have used to great success throughout the season, both in the Show 6 format as well as in the Go Battle League. Annihilape's preferred moveset is Counter, Night Slash and Shadow Ball, and fighting, dark and ghost coverage means that there is no Pokemon in the game that resists all 3 of Annihilape's attacks. Counter is statistically one of the best fast attacks in Pokemon Go, and Shadow Ball is one of the best charge attacks in the game too. Because Annihilape is both fighting and ghost type, the damage output potential from Annihilape is incredible. It also double resists fighting type damage as a ghost type itself, and generally beats all other fighting types in the game. This has very quickly led to Annihilape becoming the most popular fighter in the meta, and not only that, it is also the most popular Pokemon in the meta. It is very frequently number 1 in the usage charts at Play Pokemon events, and it is also one of the highest usage Pokemon in the Great League format. So, those are our top 10 Pokemon for the Great League format and the Play Pokemon circuit. Are there any Pokemon that I've missed? Are there any that you disagree with? I want to hear your thoughts, so let me know in the comments below, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.